Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. Today we have a very special video for you guys featuring only the XY sets and on. So these are cards that will absolutely not be getting affected by the upcoming rotation. So hopefully you guys find this video helpful. It's actually been quite fun to use. So one of the main attackers of our deck is going to be the unconventional Banette with the Delta Evolution ability. Now what I like about this Pokemon is that it has some flexibility in that we can take advantage of its Evolution Jammer attack or its Curse Deeply attack depending on the situation. Now if we're facing mainly EX type decks, we're absolutely going to be focusing on using the Curse Deeply attack to stack those damage counters on the opponent's active Pokemon. On the other hand, if we see an Evolution deck, we're going to be using Evolution Jammer to hopefully try and prevent the opponent's Pokemon from being able to evolve. So Banette is going to be one of the main attackers of our deck, but the main attacker of our deck is going to be that Wobbuffet. Ideally, would like to use it once the opponent's active Pokemon is badly damaged enough that the Wobbuffet can just swoop in for the kill using the Psychic Assault attack with hits for 10 more damage per damage counter on the opponent's active Pokemon. So Wobbuffet is absolutely not a Pokemon that should be underestimated, especially given the fact that it has the Bite Barricade ability, preventing all special abilities in play and in each player's discard pile in each player's hand, for the exception of Psychic type Pokemon. Now this tends to work quite well in combination with the entire Bat line that we have going on. So we have the Zubat, Golbat, and Crobat. Crobat and Golbat both have the Sneaky Bite and Surprise Bite abilities respectively. Surprise Bite allows us to stack 3 damage counters on the opponent's active Pokemon or one of their bench Pokemon. Golbat's special ability does the exact same thing, except it's called Sneaky Bite, but it only allows us to stack 2 damage counters as opposed to the 3 from the Crobat. So we have quite a few different possibilities with respects to attackers. I mean, we can absolutely use Crobat to swoop in for the kill and allow us to knock out one of the opponent's bench Pokemon. Wobbuffet is going to be the main killer of our deck, though, getting rid of those active Pokemon that have a lot of damage counters stacked onto them. And Banette is going to help us with respects to stacking those damage counters or preventing the opponent's Pokemon from being able to evolve. So lots of flexibility in our deck. And lots of different attackers that we could potentially use. For us, luckily, since our deck is entirely composed of Psychic type Pokemon, Dimension Valley works really well with this deck, which will allow most of our Pokemon to be able to attack for a single energy card and our Crobat to be able to attack for no energy cards whatsoever. So Dimension Valley definitely goes a long way in this deck, so we are running 4 copies of it. We're running some unconventional sorts of supporter cards, again, just because we are trying to focus on XY and on sort of supporter cards. So we're not going to see any Colress, we're not going to see any Ends, which is really upsetting, and we're not going to see any Junipers. But luckily for us, Juniper is entirely replaced by the Sycamore, which has the exact same effect, forcing us to discard our hand and then draw to 7 cards. I'm really hoping that we get a full art supporter card of this version. Don't really like having non-full art supporters in my deck, but anyways, that's just a bit of an aside. Anyways, we're also running 4 copies of the Shauna. It allows us to shuffle our hand back into our deck and then draw onto 5 cards. So pretty cool. It is a consistent card. Wish it was a little bit better. I mean, if it allowed us to shuffle our hand back into our deck and then draw onto 6 cards, I feel like this would be a much better draw supporter card, but unfortunately it doesn't. And of course we have 4 copies of the Professor Birch's Observation. A little bit on the risky side of things, because if we flip a Tails, we only draw onto 4 cards. If we flip a Heads, we draw onto 7 cards. So depending on the situation, it may be better to use Shauna in certain instances and Professor Birch's Observation in others, but just a card that we will still be running in our deck. Now we're not running a whole ton of energy cards in our deck. 6 of them are going to be Psychic Energies and 4 of them are going to be the Mystery Energy. Mystery Energy works quite nicely in this deck because we are not allowed to run any Float Stones in our deck because of course they are going to be rotated, and I wanted to focus specifically on cards that would remain in the standard format. But Mystery Energy works quite nicely, will allow us to switch in between our Pokemon, so we are running a total of 4 copies of that. Again, going back to the fact that we're not running a whole lot of energy cards, we will be running a single copy of the Professor's Letter, allowing us to search our deck for up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, put them into our hand. So can be nice to allow us to grab onto those energy cards, especially if we desperately need them. We're also running a single copy of the Sacred Ash. We are running 4 Ultra Balls, and we are running the Professor Sycamore, which can force some of our Pokemon into that discard pile. The Sacred Ash will allow us to shuffle 5 of those Pokemon from our discard pile back into our deck. So Sacred Ash can be a very useful card. We are running a single copy of that. And I felt like that's really most of the cards that need discussing. Maybe we'll briefly discuss the AZ supporter card as well. This will allow us to put one of our Pokemon back into our hand. And we can use that on either one of our badly damaged Pokemon, or we can use it on the Crobat line. So ideally we'd like to save it for those Crobats, just because we can then restack those damage counters all over again through evolving our Zubat into the Golbat and then ultimately into the Crobat. So we are running 2 copies of the AZ. Now, the remainder of our cards, guys, I'm going to be going through relatively quickly. We are running a single Starling Megaphone to get rid of any tool type attachments on our opponent's Pokemon. Mainly speaking, it's for us to deal with Garbodor. 4 Ultra Balls to grab the Pokemon that we need. 3 VS Seekers to reuse any of our supported cards. 2 Lysanders to lure out any of the opponent's benched Pokemon. 3 Muscle Bands increasing the total damage output of our Pokemon. And that is pretty much going to be it. So with that, we're going to find ourselves an opponent. Now, I have to say that we are absolutely at a disadvantage with respects to using this deck, because we can't make use of traditionally powerful cards such as A-Spec cards. I mean, they are all going to get rotated out. We also can't make use of the N as well, and N is just such a useful and versatile card, so that is just really unfortunate. Looks like we're going to be able to start off first. Okay, so we have a Bat that I'll be able to bring out right away. And I'm probably going to have to use the Sycamore, so that is actually unfortunate. Luckily, though, we are running a Sacred Ash in our deck, so I felt like it would come in handy, and it seems like it probably will. Okay, it looks like the opponent is going to start off with a Zubat as well as their own active Pokemon. You know what? I'm not going to attach any energy cards to our Zubat. Let's just go and use the Sycamore instead. Bring out the Shuppet and then the Banette as well. Hopefully I can start attacking with the Banette, guys, because we can make use of that Evolution Jammer, and that's going to prevent the opponent from being able to evolve any of his Pokemon. So that can actually come in really handy. Alright, so with that, we're going to go and end the turn, guys. Hopefully I can severely slow down our opponent from really being able to make use of any of his cards, especially with respect to evolving their Pokemon. So we're going to see an additional Zubat coming out. Yeah, so I think in this battle, Evolution Jammer is probably going to be the attack that I'm going to essentially spam over and over again. So yeah, because we're seeing 2 Zubats coming out, Evolution Jammer. See, so that's what I really like about the Banette. It does have the flexibility with respects to both the Curse Deeply and the Evolution Jammer attack. Now, I'm a little bit reluctant with respects to using that last VS Seeker, because we've already sent 2 of our VS Seekers in our discard pile. So I think I may just use the Professor Birch's Observation, even though, honestly, in all honesty, I would prefer to use the Sycamore. And looks like the opponent has glitched out, and I'm going to say sorry and GG to them, I guess. I'm assuming they're probably going to quit the game. That's a little bit unfortunate. I really wanted to take advantage of that Evolution Jammer. I mean, there's not a whole lot of decks that I come across where I really am able to make use of that Evolution Jammer. So I think the opponent is just going to allow themselves to time out, and that is perfectly understandable. I mean, the Pokemon TCG does have a whole lot of glitches, and it seems like whatever the opponent was trying to say, unfortunately got censored out. So I'm going to go and find ourselves another opponent, guys, and hopefully this time we can actually see our Pokemon in action. Well, I guess it could actually have been a good sign as well, just because and cool, I just got that last prize card, which happened to be the Pokemon Fan Club, so that is kind of nice. But anyways, getting back to what I was trying to say, I mean, at the very least, we wouldn't have had as many of our important cards into the discard pile. Hopefully this time around, we get a bit of a better start, I would say. I mean, I don't want to see 2 VS Seekers, a Sycamore, our Bats, and things like that going into the discard pile right away. So we'll see how things end up this time around. Alright, and looks like the opponent's going to be able to start off first. And of course, they're going to choose to go first. Absolutely, there's no reason why we shouldn't. And we're going to see the Togetic and the Togekiss. Hopefully, I can prevent that Serene Grace by just keeping a Wobbuffet as our active Pokemon. Looks like we're going to start off with Wobbuffet as well, so that is kind of nice. Hopefully, we can start attacking right away. We are seeing the Xerneas and the Togepi as the opponent's active Pokemon. Fairy decks can definitely give us a bit of a difficult time, but as long as their special abilities are nullified, we should be able to perform relatively well for the most part. Alright, let's go and lay down a Dimension Valley. You know what? I'm actually gonna go and use that Ultra Ball. Should have actually attached the Mystery Energy on our Wobbuffet. So that was a bit of a foolish mistake on my part, but that's okay. It's still early on in the game, so hopefully this mistake doesn't come to bite us back in the ass. So let's go and grab onto that Zubat and then use the Professor Birch's observation. Awesome. Looks like we're also gonna get a head. So that was pretty much a Sycamore during that one particular turn. So let's go and bring out a Shuppet, an additional Wobbuffet, and let's go and use that Ultra Ball. Get rid of a Dimension Valley. I'm gonna look for one more Zubat. Those bats are really important with respects to making our Wobbuffet a much more feasible and powerful attacker. Let's go and use that Psychic Assault, hitting that Xerneas for a mere 30 damage, but hopefully we can knock it out during our next turn. If we can grab onto 2 of our Golbats, we should be able to hit that Xerneas for more than enough damage to knock it out. Yeah, so we would actually need at least 2 Golbats. So I'm definitely going to be using the Shauna during our next turn. We're seeing a Togetic coming out. Banette would actually be a pretty good option as well, because I did see a couple of Togekisses in the opponent's deck. Now, if the opponent, the one good thing about us not running an N is that a lot of times N can actually help out the opponent's deck. But in our case, we're not running any Ns whatsoever, so that is absolutely not going to be the case. So we're going to see an Ultra Ball. The opponent was smart in getting rid of that Shaman EX. They're probably quite well aware of the fact that the Wobbuffet with the Bite Barricade ability prevents that Shaman EX from being able to make use of its special ability. So we are seeing the Gardevoir EX. That is almost absolutely going to be the main attacker of the opponent's deck. As long as I can keep that Wobbuffet as our active Pokemon. You know what? I don't think I'm going to switch in between our Pokemon, because I really want to prevent those Togekisses from being able to make use of their special ability. So I think we're just going to keep the Wobbuffet as our active Pokemon for as long as we possibly can. So we're seeing some energy cards getting latched on to put that Gardevoir EX and the Togetic. Let's go and use that Shauna. Alright, so we have our very first bat. Let's go and bring it out, and I could stack some damage counters onto that Togepi. That Xerneas, even if I do, I mean, we still wouldn't be able to hit it for enough damage to knock it out. So you know what, I think I'm going to target that Togepi, guys. Or maybe that Gardevoir EX make life a little bit easier for us later on. So I have a lot of options here. And you know what? I think I'm gonna go for that Gardevoir EX instead. Because I mean, really, our Wobbuffet is only effective with a lot of damage counters stacked onto the opponent's main attacker. So you know what? I think that's a better option in my respective opinion. Let's go and use that Psychic Assault, hitting that Xerneas for 60 damage. Hopefully, we don't see a Mega Gardevoir EX come out, because if Gardevoir EX does come out, its Shining Wind can currently only hit us for a mere 100 damage. So at the very least, that would allow that Wobbuffet to stay alive with 10 HP remaining. So that is kind of nice. I could use the AZ as well to bring that Golbat back into our hand. The opponent is going to bring out that Togekiss. Of course, that Serene Grace ability is absolutely nullified. We're going to see Juniper. So the opponent probably realized that as long as the Wobbuffet stays our active Pokemon, he's not going to be able to take advantage of his Togekiss's special ability. So we're seeing a lot of Togepis. Absolutely going to be keeping that Wobbuffet as the active Pokemon. I'm actually kind of happy that I didn't target the Xerneas, just because, of course, we saw that Max Potion resetting that Xerneas back to full HP. So that Gardevoir EX can be quite menacing. I think that is the Pokemon that I'm just going to repeatedly try and target. I think I'm going to make use of the Professor Birch's observation during our next turn, guys. AC would be pretty good, but only if we had a Crobat. But unfortunately we don't. I don't feel like bringing just a Golbat back into our hand would be all that wise of an option. Now, I could take a risk with the Professor Birch's observation, or I could guarantee that I draw into 5 cards. You know what, I'm feeling a little bit risky today, so let's go and use that Professor Birch's observation and flip the tails. What a regrettable decision. But at least we got a Golbat, so let's go and bring him out and then stack 2 more damage counters onto the opponent's Gardevoir EX. Let's go and bring out the Banette as well. I'm gonna go and stack an additional Psychic Energy, our first Psychic Energy card onto the Wobbuffet, and then let's go and use that Psychic Assault, hitting that Xerneas for 30 damage. As long as we still don't see a Mega Gardevoir EX make its appearance, we should be relatively safe for the most part. We're seeing another Fairy Energy card getting latched onto that Xerneas EX. Evosoda could potentially be seeing the Mega Gardevoir EX here, and no, it actually looks like it's going to be another Togetic. So lots of Togetics almost loaded up and ready to go. If we see a Lysander, and then if we see our opponent just spam Togekisses, that could be quite deadly and an unfortunate situation for us to to have to deal with. We're going to see the enhanced hammer that's going to get rid of that mystery energy, but we should hopefully be able to draw into an additional energy card during our next turn, guys. We do have the Sycamore in our hand. Hopefully we don't see a muscle band. Okay, looks like that Wobbuffet is going to get hit for a mere 20 damage. Definitely a wise option, I would say, on our opponent's part, making use of the Life Leap attack. I think I'm actually going to get rid of the Shuppet and save an additional slot for one more of our bats. So let's go and use that Sycamore, and we'll definitely be able to attack with the Wobbuffet. I do want to repeatedly be able to attack, so well, I don't think we're going to use the Professor's Ladder just yet, so let's go and attach an energy card onto that Wobbuffet. Use that Psychic Assault, hitting that Gardevoir EX for 50 damage. And we're probably going to be seeing the Shining Wind attack during this turn, and that should allow the opponent to knock out our Wobbuffet. Hopefully we can knock out that Gardevoir EX though during our next turn, guys. As long as we can draw onto a bat, that would absolutely be helpful, because currently this Wobbuffet would only be able to hit for 80 damage, so that Gardevoir EX would have 20 HP remaining. And AZ would also be helpful, just because we can bring... Well, actually, no. AZ would not be helpful, because we don't already have a Zubat on our bench, which we can take advantage of. So, let's see what the opponent decides to do. Yeah, so it looks like that Wobbuffet is going to get knocked out. I'm temporarily going to bring out the Golbat as our active Pokemon, because it is able to freely retreat. And do I have anything in our discard pile that I can really take advantage of? I do have a Sycamore. I think I'd rather use the Shauna though, so I'm gonna go and attach an additional Psychic Energy card onto that Wobbuffet. Use the Shauna, please, please. I hope I get either an Ultra Ball or the Crobat to knock out that Gardevoir EX. And awesome, looks like we're gonna get that Crobat. I'm very, very happy about that. So let's go and bring it out, and that will allow us to get the first knockout of the game. So let's go and bring out that Wobbuffet, and then use the Psychic Assault attack, hitting that Gardevoir EX for a massive 110 damage, allowing us to snatch up our very first 2 prize cards. Yeah, so keeping that Wobbuffet as our active Pokemon is definitely paying off right now, just because it's preventing the opponent from being able to make use of his Togekiss's special abilities, and of course that is very, very helpful to us. So let's see if that Xerneas decides to make use of that Rainbow Spear attack. I think that's probably going to be the case. I don't think the opponent is running any Muscle Bands in his deck. At least I'm really hoping that he's not, because if he is, then he'll be able to knock out that Wobbuffet, and that would definitely be a bit of an unfortunate situation. Teammates, of course, allows the opponent to grab onto any 2 cards from their deck. So let's see, are we going to see a Muscle Band? I'm hoping that the answer is no. Possibly going to see a Lysander, I think. The opponent probably wants to draw into a Lysander just to then take advantage of those Togekisses. And awesome, looks like I was right. There are actually no Muscle Bands that the opponent is running in their deck. Alright, so let's go and attach a Psychic Energy card onto that Wobbuffet. I'm going to go and use that AZ to bring that bat line back into our hand. Let's go and bring out a Zubat, and then we're going to bring out the Golbat as well, stack some damage counters on the opponent's active Xerneas, just so that our Wobbuffet can hit him for a little bit more damage. Let's go and use that Psychic Assault, hitting that Xerneas for 40 damage. We should hopefully be able to knock it out during our next turn. So even though our opponent is knocking out our Pokemon at essentially the same rate at which we're knocking out their Pokemon, the prize exchange is in our favor, just because we have gotten rid of an EX Pokemon. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to see a whole lot of Banette in this deck, just because the opponent has all those Togekisses, and I really, really want to nullify the opponent from being able to make use of any of his Pokemon special abilities. So that's pretty much the main reasoning for that. Xerneas is going to have an additional energy card latched onto it, so we'll be able to make use of that Rainbow Spear attack. Definitely an overkill on our Wobbuffet, which has a measly 10 HP remaining. And yeah, looks like the opponent is going to knock it out. So let's go and bring out our next Wobbuffet, which is going to, of course, be our next attacker. So we have 2 Golbats in our hand, but of course, they're not particularly useful at just this point. I mean, we'll be able to knock out the opponent's Xerneas in a single attack regardless. So let's go and attach a Psychic Energy card onto that Wobbuffet. Bring out the Golbat. I'm going to go and target the opponent's bench Xerneas, which I assume is probably going to be the opponent's next attacker. Let's go and make use of that Shauna to get some new cards in our hand. Awesome, looks like we have a Sacred Ash. I can absolutely use that to recycle the Wobbuffets that are in our discard pile, which is, of course, I think a pretty solid option at this point. So let's go and bring those Pokemon back into our deck. And then let's go and use that Psychic Assault, knocking out the opponent's Xerneas, allowing us to snatch up one more prize card. We do have a Crobat as well, so I can absolutely use that to target pretty much whichever of our opponent's Pokemon decides to come out as the opponent's active. Looks like we're going to see Togetic. Definitely not a Pokemon that I was really expecting, but I mean, that Xerneas isn't really loaded up and ready to attack just yet, but I think the opponent would have been smarter just to bring out either his Togekiss or his Xerneas, just because he does have the Fairy Garden and would have been able to retreat freely regardless. So, okay, the opponent is probably going to make use of that Go Fetch. And yeah, so we do indeed see the Lysander. The opponent's going to bring out that Togekiss and hopefully take advantage of that Serene Grace ability. Will we see any energy cards getting latched onto the opponent's Pokemon? Okay, so that's one energy card thus far. Let's see if we see any more. So that's two energy cards. Yeah, so I think there's definitely going to be enough for that Togekiss to be able to attack. Okay, so three energy cards right now. Okay, so it looks like that's a pretty solid Serene Grace for the most part. Four energy cards, my goodness. That is a lot. Luckily, again, though, that Togekiss can only hit for a measly 60 damage, so really not an impressive amount by any means, so I'm not particularly worried about that. But was that 5 energies? Holy cow, that is a lot. The top 8 cards of their deck, and then choose all the basic energy cards. How many energy cards is our opponent running? I don't even know, but it has to be a whole lot. Alright, so let's go and bring out the Crobat, and then I'm going to stack some damage counters onto the opponent's Togekiss. Now, I could retreat the Banette, but again, we don't run a whole lot of energy cards, and I think I've actually attached all my psychic energy cards. Yeah, so that is 2, 4, 6. Yeah, so I have 6. Yeah, so definitely can't make use of that Professor's Letter effectively anymore. I could, however, use the VS Seeker to look for an AZ and then put that Banette back into our hand, which I think is indeed what I am going to do. So let's go and look for that AZ and then put that badly damaged Banette back into our hand. Bring out the Wobbuffet, and then I'm going to go and lay down the Shuppet, the Banette one more time, and then let's go and hit that Togekiss for 50 damage, I believe 40 damage, my apologies, but we should be able to knock him out during our next turn. Also have a Lysander, could lure out one of the opponent's bench Pokemon if that's really what I wanted to do, but I think I'm probably going to use the Professor Birch's Observation instead. Now, I could definitely use the the Professor's Letter, but I still feel like we have quite a few Ultra Balls in our, well, actually just one Ultra Ball, so maybe I should just make use of the Professor's Letter and just get rid of it, because it's going to end up being dead space and definitely not a card that I want to redraw into. So the opponent has made use of the Skyla, only has 5 cards in their deck remaining though, so I don't think they drew onto anything particularly useful. Okay, so let's go and use that Professor's Letter. Yeah, so just as I was saying, we had no more energy cards in our deck. At least no more psychic energy cards, but we still have 2 more mystery energy cards in our deck. Alright, let's go, and I could use the Lysander, but no, I do want to get rid of that Togekiss. Let's go and use that Professor Birch's Observation, and awesome, looks like we're going to flip a heads. Zubat, I will absolutely be bringing that out. I'm going to hold off on the mystery energy. I would like to attach it to a Wobbuffet as opposed to any of these other Pokemon. So let's go and attack with that Wobbuffet for the Psychic Assault, hitting that Togekiss for 80 damage, and that will allow us to take one more prize card. Awesome, looks like we have a Golbat in our hand as well, a Muscle Band as well. I may just have to bring out the Shuppet and temporarily use it as an attacker, possibly even the Crobat as well, because if I do attach a Mystery Energy to him and then a Muscle Band as well, could hit for 50 damage to the opponent's active Pokemon. Let's go and temporarily bring out a Crobat as our own active Pokemon, guys. And okay, I'm going to bring out the Golbat. I could hit that Xerneas for a fair amount of damage, but I think I'm going to target that Togekiss instead. Really trying to think at this point. Okay, let's go and attach a Mystery Energy onto that Crobat, a Muscle Band as well, so that will allow us to hit 50 damage to the opponent's active Togekiss. Let's go and use that Shauna for some new cards. I don't really think I want to lay down that Shubbet. Could actually just be a casualty for us, so use that Shauna. Okay, so it looks like we have that Dimension Valley that will prevent the opponent's Pokemon from being able to actively retreat, but I think I'm actually going to save it in case I'm forced to retreat our active Crobat as well with one of our bench Pokemon, just because our Crobat can target our opponent's bench Pokemon regardless. So let's go and use that Skill Dive, hitting that Togekiss for 50 damage, and hopefully we can knock it out during our next turn, because I'm going to be using that AZ, so we should be able to knock out that Togekiss, unless the opponent looks for an N from their discard pile, which is absolutely a possibility. possibly we're gonna be seeing a Lysander. Yeah, so I think he's gonna target that Banette, maybe the Golbat, but the Golbat still would have some HP remaining. Yeah, looks like it's instead going to be the Banette. Luckily for us, guys, we do have the AZ, so I can absolutely bring that Banette back into our hands. So unfortunately, the opponent's not going to get a knockout out of us just by getting rid of that Banette. So that is definitely unfortunate for the opponent, but definitely something that is great for us. Alright, so let's go into easy that Banette back into our hand, and I'm gonna bring out the Crobat as our active Pokemon. And you know what, let's actually switch it and use this Crobat instead, which will hit for 30 damage. Let's go and bring out the Dimension Valley Stadium card. Do I really want to bring out those Banettes again? I don't think I do right now, so I'm going to hold off on those. Let's go and use that Skill Dive, hitting that Togekiss for 30 damage. At this point, we're just hitting, both me and the opponent are hitting each other for some very, very low amounts of damage. But that Togekiss is getting dangerously close to being knocked out, and that Xerneas only has 80 HP as well, so I feel like this should be our victory. Our opponent only has 2 cards remaining in their deck, and unfortunately none of his Pokemon can hit us for enough damage to get a big one-hit knockout out of us. So another Wobbuffet, let's hold off on that for now. Let's go and use that Skill Dive, knocking out that Togekiss, and that will allow us to take one more of our prize cards. Awesome, looks like it's going to be a Dimension Valley Stadium card. That is absolutely going to be helpful. We're going to see that Xerneas finally make its appearance. The opponent will actually not be attacking us, so let's go and retreat that Crobat to bring out this Crobat that has the Muscle Band latched onto it. Skill Dive that Xerneas for 50 damage, and unless we see a Max Potion, guys, we are going to be able to win. The opponent has also decked out, unless of course we do see the N card, which will reduce it to 0. And no, looks like we're actually going to be able to win. So yeah, so that is pretty much going to be it, guys. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.